Welcome to computer-based accounting. In this video, we are going to discuss about the course introduction of computer-based accounting subject. In this subject, we are using an accounting software. It is called the Sage 50. The Sage 50 is a US-based accounting package. First, let's have a look at the course details. As you all are aware, this is a subject which is offered in the second year, second semester, and it's a compulsory subject, and most importantly, this is a 3-credit course. When it comes to a 3-credit course, there must be at least 45 hours of teaching and learning. So as far as this course is concerned, in this course we have 150 hours of teaching and learning. So how it comes? On a weekly basis, we are having 3-hour lecture. The 3-hour lectures into 15 weeks, there it comes 45 hours of 45 hours of teaching. And also we have the 1-hour practical session per week. So in that, so it is up to 15 hours. It is up to 15 hours. And also when it comes to the assessment of this course, there we have roughly 25 to 30 hours of time it would take. And also this course, so there's a compulsory self-study component. So you need to engage in self-study. So you need to study most of the aspects. So therefore the rest of the hours would be taken for this self-studies. So consequently this course would involve roughly 150 hours of teaching and learning. When it comes to the delivery of this course, we are expecting to use a hybrid method. The hybrid method in the sense, so in this corona outbreak, so we won't be able to meet physically. So therefore, we would have to go for a alternative mode of teaching and learning. So in that, we have chosen the mode as the online discussions and video lectures. So on a weekly basis, we are uploading the video recording of the lectures. So we would record the lectures and then we will upload them on a weekly basis. So that is how the video lectures work. And apart from that, in order to ensure kind of interaction, a proper interaction between you and us, so we are having online discussion on a weekly basis. In that, we are using the Zoom platform. So we'll be doing the discussions using the Zoom platform. So that is how we have planned the things. The prerequisites of this course. The computer-based accounting builds on and extends your knowledge and skills of computer technology in business data processing. So when you are studying in this course, your knowledge on the information technology that you learned in your first year, especially the knowledge on database management and the learnings that you had on financial accounting, especially the fundamentals of financial accounting. So even your learnings in your advanced level would be helpful when you are going to uh, study the computer-based accounting subject. So especially the accounting functions that you had carried out manually. So hereafter, we are going to carry them in a computerized environment. So in a simple sense, that is what the computer-based accounting, the accounting functions being carried out using a computer software. And also in the second year, first semester, you have learned the management accounting. In that, so some of the basic management accounting principles would be helpful in this particular course. So in fact, the computer-based accounting subject is built on the fundamentals of financial accounting management accounting, and also the fundamentals of information technology. So therefore, the knowledge what you had gathered so far would be helpful when you are going to study this computer-based accounting. So as far as the lectures involved in this course is concerned, uh, this course is coordinated by the Dr. W.G.S. Callum. So as far as the sir is concerned, so he's having a vast experience in this subject. So in fact, the founder of this subject, so he has the experience on computer-based accounting, more than 3 decades of experience. So therefore, we are privileged to have the Dr. W.G.S. Callum as our course coordinator. So you will make most out of him. And also myself, Amroshan Herat, I'm involving in lecturing. And when it comes to the technical aspect, so the technical matters, it is mainly taken care by Mr. Samita Rodrigo. So he is an expert, he's a computer expert in the computer technology. So he'll take care of all the necessary infrastructure related issues. So therefore we have a technical expert with us, Mr. Samita Rodrigo. When it comes to this course, usually we are having this course on Monday. So we are going to start the lectures from 20th of July. So therefore, it's a Monday from 1 to 3. We are planning to have the video lectures. Though our regular schedule is the Monday 1 to 3, that is for the lectures. The usually what we are doing, we are going to upload the lectures 1 week in advance. So therefore, the lectures that is relevant for the 20th would be uploaded probably by 16th of July. The first lecture would be uploaded. So therefore, you can study most probably during the weekend. So then the second feature, the second mode of delivery, so as we discussed earlier, it is about the online discussion. And we have planned to have online discussion on a weekly basis. We are starting that on this 20th, the Monday, and we are having that discussion from 4 to 5. So we will be uploading the video lectures, which is relevant for Monday 1 to 3 time slot, probably 1 week before. So which is in well advance, we are uploading that. But on a weekly basis, we are having online discussion. So this online discussion starts on 20th of July. So it is a 1 hour discussion where you can bring all the questions that you had came across while you are attempting the given tutorials. So this is a very practical and interactive course. So therefore, for each of the topic, we have a practical session. So in this, we are expecting you to try out those practicals. So when you come to the Monday session, so the practical uh, activities that is relevant for that discussion, you are expected to complete that. Then having completed the practicals, you would participate the online discussion. So in the online discussion, basically what we are going to do, we are going to attend to the issues that you had come across. So you can bring all the issues that you had came across. Then we are going to clarify or answer those issues. So that is how we have planned the things. තොර පුතාලා අපි මේ කෝස් එක බේසිකලි ඩිලිවර් කරන විදිය බැලුවොත් අපිට අදාළ වෙන්නේ Mondays වල තමයි අපිට lectures තියෙන අපේ time slot එක වෙන්නේ 1 to 5 කියන time slot එක. ඒතර එතනදී අපි usually physical environment එක නම් 1 to 4 lecture එක ගන්නවා. ඊපස්සේ 4 to 5 tutorial එකක් තමයි අපි conduct කරේ. නමුත් දැන් මේ තියෙන prevailing situation එකත් එක්ක අපිට ෆිසිකල් ලෙක්චර්ස් කිරීමේ හැකියාවක් නැහැ. ඒ වෙනුවට අපි වීඩියෝ ලෙක්චර්ස් තමයි කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ. අපි මේ වීඩියෝ ලෙක්චර්ස් වලට අදාළ ටයිම් ස්ලොට් එක විදිහට අඳුරගෙන තියෙනවා Monday 1 to 3 කියන ටයිම් ස්ලොට් එක. නමුත් අපි මේ කෝස් එකේදී මේ ලෙක්චර්ස් ඒ Monday වෙනකන් ඉන්නේ නැහැ. ඊට කලින් well advance අපි අප්ලෝඩ් කරනවා. එතකොට මේ 20 වෙනිදාට අදාළ ලෙක්චර් එක අපි ගොඩක් වෙලාවට 16th of July අප්ලෝඩ් කරනවා. ඔබට වීකෙන්ඩ් එකේ මේ ලෙක්චර්ස් ස්ටඩි කරන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට Monday වෙනකොට මේ ලෙක්චර්ස් ස්ටඩි කරලා most importantly මේ සබ්ජෙක්ට් එකේ තියෙනවා practical aspect එකක්, tutorial session එකක්. ඒ කියන්නේ practice questions අපි දානවා. ඒවා අනිවාර්යෙන් පුතාලා කරන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට මේ වීඩියෝ ලෙක්චර් එක ස්ටඩි කරලා ඒ practicals ටිකට attend වෙන්න පුළුවන් පුතාලට. ඊට පස්සේ අපි weekly plan කරලා තියෙනවා online discussion එකක්. එතකොට මේ practicals පුතාලා attend කරනකොට ඒකේ එන විවිධ ප්‍රශ්න නැත්නම් lecture එකේදී තිබුණු විවිධ ප්‍රශ්න මේ සියලුම දේවල් අපි සාකච්ඡාවට ගන්නවා Monday 4 to 5 කියන time එකේ. එතකොට අපි Zoom discussion එකක් Zoom platform එකකින් තමයි අපි meet වෙන්නේ. එතකොට අපි lecturers-ලා join වෙනවා, පුතාලා join වෙනවා. එතකොට ඒ තියෙන ඔක්කොම issues අපි more interactively discuss කරලා ඒ ටික solve කරනවා. එතකොට ඒ වගේ විදිහට තමයි අපි plan කරලා තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට අනිවාර්යෙන්ම සෑම සතියකම Monday 4 to 5 කියන hour එකේ අපි meet වෙනවා online discussion එකකට. එතකොට weekly lectures අපි upload කරනවා well advance අපි upload කරනවා. නමුත් ඒකට අදාළ වෙන time slot එක අපි දාලා තියෙන 1 to 3 කියන එක. නමුත් ඊට කලින් අපි අනිවාර්යෙන්ම upload කරනවා. right? ඒත් එක්කම practical sessions ටික කරන්න ඕනේ මේ lectures වලට අදාළව. ඒක අනිවාර්යයක්. මේක බොහොම practical subject එකක්. ඒ නිසා practice එකෙන් තමයි difference එකක් කරන්න පුළුවන්. practice කරේ නැත්නම් ඒ දේවල් අමතක වෙලා යන්න පුළුවන්. නිසා එදිනදා දේවල් එදිනදා පදනමකින් කරන්න. එතකොට කිසිම work load එකක් නැතුව බොහොම පහසුවෙන් දේවල් manage කරගන්න පුළුවන්. Then let me come to the learning outcomes of this course. After successfully completing this course, you should be able to assess the advantages and disadvantages of a computer-based accounting system for business data processing. You know, here we are going to learn about a comprehensive computer accounting software. So therefore, at the end of this course, you must be able to assess what are the advantages of this computer-based accounting or the computer software packages and what are the disadvantages. So you know, as far as the advantages is concerned, so you know, in a computerized environment, the reliability would be there, the accuracy aspects are there, the timeliness is there, so the up-to-date reports can be generated, those aspects are there, and as well as some disadvantages would also involve. So it's, as far as these accounting softwares are concerned, it's a kind of huge cost. So the cost factor is there, the human intervention is there. So you must be able to assess what are the advantages and disadvantages. So before you are going to introduce a computer-based accounting system to a particular business organization. And you should be able to demonstrate the competence in accounting software technology. In this course, you are gaining a particular skill. So this is how this course is distinct from the rest of the courses. So as far as this course is concerned, at the successful completion of this course, you are gaining a particular skill for your life. That is to handle a computer-based accounting software. So you are going to demonstrate your competence in accounting software handling. So it is not which can be expected from the every graduate. So therefore it's a kind of unique competency. So you are privileged to have that. So at the end of this course, the successful completion, So you are gaining a particular skill to handle an accounting software. And most importantly, you must be able to apply that particular knowledge in the business context. So once you become more familiar with this accounting software, and you must be able to apply that in a business context. Then you must be able to interpret, apply, and critically appreciate the importance of having accounting software in day-to-day business data processing. So you must be able to appreciate the importance of having a computer software in day-to-day business data processing. So once you master the accounting software, so you would understand how easy uh, that it is compared to a manual data processing. So if you are going to use the accounting software for the day-to-day business transactions, so rather than the manual way of handling the day-to-day transactions, so you would experience, so it will offer much efficiency and much more effectiveness would be there. So therefore, uh, so you would witness that the accounting software will help you with the productivity. So it's a matter of efficiency and effectiveness. Then, know the reporting requirements for internal and external reporting purposes. Adapt the knowledge and skill to process data, analyze, and present information to fulfill these reporting requirements through the selected accounting software. So once you complete this course, you have the necessary knowledge and skills in handling the accounting software. So you have the necessary knowledge and skills in handling this accounting software. By using this accounting software, you can process the data, you can carry out various analysis, and you can present the information in more useful ways, in more efficient and effective ways. So in that, you are going to cater to the information needs of the internal and external parties. As far as the internal parties are concerned, there you have the management of a business. So therefore, you are in a position to cater to the information needs of the management. And also, you must be in a position to understand the information needs of the external users. So that is basically the investors and the other resource providers. The having understood their reporting requirement, their information needs, you must be able to cater to that. So you must process the data and analyze and present the information to suit the needs of the external users. So especially you are preparing a comprehensive set of financial statement. As you are familiar so far, you'll be producing the statement of profit or loss, the statement of financial position, the statement of changes in equity, the cash flow statements. All these are for the benefit of the external users. So once you complete this particular course, you are in a position to cater to the information needs of external users by way of preparing or producing a complete set of financial statement. So in fact, so it's just a matter of few clicks compared to how you do that in a manual environment. So that is the comfort what you may witness upon the completion of this course. And similarly, for the internal users, especially the management, you must produce them with the different kinds of reports. The reports, especially the budget reports, the investment appraisal reports. So special decision making scenarios you must have to cater. So likewise, you must understand the requirement of the internal users, and then you may process, analyze, and present the information accordingly by using the given accounting software, by using the given accounting software. And finally, you must be able to appreciate critically the contemporary issues and future direction of computerized business environment. You know, so the environment is ever changing. So it is uh, something that the environment that you experience today may not be the environment when you are going to get employed. Similarly, the accounting software, what you are learning in this particular course may not be the accounting softwares that may be used in the business organization where you are going to work. But depending on the knowledge what you gathered in this course, the principles may remain constant. So therefore, for the different kinds of business scenarios, for different business circumstances, you must be able to adapt. You must be able to adapt. So therefore, you must see, so whatever the changes that can happen in the environment, so in the computerized business environment, so whatever the software packages that may be available in the future, but you must be in a position to handle that in a contemporary business environment. So that is what the expectation. So once you learn a particular software package, so you will learn the basic principles behind the accounting software. So the principles may not change from package to package, but the accounting software may change with slight modification, but the principle may not. So what you are going to learn is the principles. So once you learn that, you have the ability to adapt for different business circumstances. So whatever the change that it is there in the environment in the future, you must be able to adapt for that circumstances, and you must be able to succeed. Let me come to the learning resources. So when it comes to this course, basically our main communication would be through the LMS. Through the LMS, we make the lecture notes available. So we make the lecture notes available on a weekly basis. Together with that, the practical activities, the practical handouts would be uploaded. So therefore, you have the lecture materials and the practical handouts which can be accessed through the LMS. Together with that, we are going to upload the video recordings. The video lectures going to get uploaded. So in fact, the video lecture is going to get uploaded 1 week before the relevant class. For example, so the lectures, the video recording that is relevant for the Monday session, so we'll be uploading them in well advance. So probably on 16th of July we'll be uploading. So likewise, we'll be doing that on a weekly basis. So therefore, the video recordings would also be there prior to the lecture. Then we are uploading the link for the Zoom discussion. So as I mentioned earlier, on a weekly basis, we are having the Zoom discussion. So the Zoom discussion link would also get uploaded to the LMS. So therefore, on Mondays, in each Mondays from 4 to 5, you are supposed to attend the online discussion. So those links would be made available through the LMS. So therefore, our main mode of communication, that is going to be the LMS. And here also we expect, so in order to further your knowledge on this computer-based accounting, the software packages, so what you can do, you can read further on this. So in order to support that, we have identified a recommended reading. It is the Accounting Information Systems, the 13th edition. It's a Pearson publication. So it's a US based book. So you can probably access this book in the library. In the library, it is available. So you can access this book online. So through the university library, the main library, you can access these things, or otherwise you can uh, access this through the internet. So you'll be having the access. So it is to read further. Then let me come to the learning activities. Learning activities. How this course is going to get delivered. So in the first week, we have planned to cover 3 aspects. So in that, basically we are giving a kind of introduction to computer-based accounting. So in the very first lecture, we are going to give a kind of overview as to the computer-based accounting. So there you are going to learn what is meant by the computer-based accounting and what are the advantages and disadvantages as we agreed in the as we agreed in the learning outcomes. So you must be able to appreciate, you must be able to assess what are the advantages and disadvantages. Those things going to get learned, and also the accounting softwares versus the ERP, the enterprise resource planning, and also the classification of accounting softwares. So basically, it's a theoretical aspects. So some theoretical learning you would be expected to do. So the topic 1, video recording, would be made available by 16th of July. And then the introduction to Sage 50 accounting software. So there we are going to expose you to the software package. So we agree that we are going to learn about the Sage 50 accounting software. In that, in the topic 2, we expect to take you through the features that is available in this software package. So we'll show you how to open up this particular software and how to get access. So what are the features that you have, and those aspects would be discussed. So it's basically introduction to the accounting software. It is Sage 50. And then we are starting the work on the company. So this is where the real task begins. So we'll be taking you through how to set the profile, or how to set the reporting entities profile. So probably in the lecture we are taking a company scenario. So therefore we are going to learn about how to enter the profile, or how to enter the general information as to this company. So in that particular case, so you would be setting some basic information like the name of the company, the address of the company, the emails, the fax, the telephone, the VAT registration numbers. Likewise, some of the very basic or the general information you may be entering when you are going to create the company using the Sage 50 software. So you have to set some general information of the business. And then you'll be learning about how to set how to select a method to create company. So there would be different options when you are going to create companies. So you would learn that. So in that, what are the options that we are going to use? Are we going to create something on our own, or are you going to create a company by using a particular kind of similar entity? So we have different formats that is available in the software package. So therefore we can start with a kind of general business which is more suitable for our business, and then we can do some customization, something as such. So we are going to learn about those aspects, and also the accounting method. So are you going to use the accrual basis, or it is the cash basis of accounting? So you would have to set them from the very beginning. Then the method of posting, that is in the sense when you are doing transactions and how it must be posted to the general ledger. So those aspects has to be set, whether it is real time or it is a kind of batch processing, things as such. And also the accounting period. So you have to set the accounting period. Usually it is 12 months, but the Sage 50 will offer you the option to set a period something other than the 12 month. So these are some of the very basic things, but it's still pretty much important. The very basic, but still pretty much important aspects you are going to learn in this course. So it's about the creation aspect of a company. So that is how, in fact, we start working in the Sage 50 software. So relating to this creation of the company, we have planned some tutorial. So it is our practical one. So the practical one would be uploaded. So in this lecture, in this course, basically, we are creating two companies. We are creating two companies. For the lecture, we are using one company. And for the practicals, we are using another company. So that is how it goes. So during the lecture, we are working on a particular company and we are updating the records accordingly. The company that you start creating in the very first lecture will go up until the end of the course. That is the beauty. On a weekly basis, you are going to update your company, right? So you are going to learn different aspects. So there is a kind of logical sequence is there. So you are going to update them on a weekly basis. Similarly, in the tutorial, the very first day you are creating a company for the tutorial and you will be updating that on a weekly basis. So therefore, at the end of this course, you would have completed two companies, one for the lecture, the other for the tutorial, right? So that has to be very well planned and you have to do that very carefully. So you should not mix the things. So make sure that you maintain the records appropriately. So you work on the relevant company. For the lecture, you maybe work on the company that you had created for the lecture. For the tutorial, for the practicals, the company that you had created for the practicals, you better work on. Then on week 2, you're going to learn about, now you have set your company. Now you have set the company. Once you set the company, the next crucial aspect is about setting up the general ledger. You know what the general ledger means, right? So this is something that you had learned in your A levels. So it is the place where we keep the ledger accounts in a simple sense. No? So therefore, in this computerized environment, in this computer-based accounting package, we have this general ledger. So that is one of the crucial aspects. So there you have to set some default information. Some default information has to be set. Most importantly, you have to set something called rounding account. The rounding account in the sense, so you would witness that there can be some rounding differences. When you are going to work in ledger account, sometimes you would witness some rounding differences. So when you are working in the ledger accounts, if you witness a kind of rounding difference, there must be a place to send them. So therefore, you are going to set a default account and where you should send these rounding differences. So in the presence of rounding differences, you know the financial statements may not agree, especially the statement of financial position. So therefore, that has to be dealt. So that is one of the defaults what we would set in the general ledger. Apart from that, the most important thing is we are going to create the different accounts. You know, we are having 5 types of accounts basically: the assets, liabilities, income, expenses, and equity. So therefore, in the general ledger, we would have to set these different accounts types, and different accounts. So that is something what you would create from the very beginning. So you have to set what are the account that you would have. So you would be having the PP items, the land and buildings, motor vehicles, and thereafter you would be having the inventory items, the trade receivables, and the cash items. So That is basically the asset. And when come to the liabilities, you are having bank loans, you are having debentures, and you are having trade payables. You can have the accrued expenses. So those are basically, even the income tax payable, those are basically the liability account. So you would have to set them. And also the equity, you have different reserves, especially the retained earning reserve, the revaluation reserve, the general reserves, also the stated capital. So these are the equity accounts. So you would have to create these accounts. So depending on the number of accounts that you have in your business organization, you would have to set these accounts, right? And similarly, you would be having different incomes like sales, sales revenue can be there, and also the other incomes can be there. Those income accounts has to be set, and together with that, the expenses, the cost of sales, the administrative related expenses, the distribution related expenses, the finance and other, likewise different expenses would be there. So like you do that in the normal environment, so in the computerized environment, you are going to create these accounts. So that is basically our second day discussion. We are going to create the accounts, and also we are going to do some numbering of this account. So, when we are working on a computerized environment, probably the words may not be properly read by the accounting softwares. So, therefore, when it comes to the account, we need to use a proper system of numbering. Especially for the asset account, we would have to use a particular code. Probably the code is starting from number 1. So number 1 would indicate the asset account, the number 2 may be liability, number 3 may be equity, number 4 that may be like income. Likewise, you would have to do a proper numbering. So you have to create the accounts, and you have to do the numbering, and also you have to set the account type. So those would be the basic things that you would do under the general ledger setting. So that would be our second day discussion. Apart from that, on the same day, we are going to learn about entering the beginning balances. The entering the beginning balances in the sense, we are assuming an organization where they are having a kind of manual system. At the moment, they are having a manual accounting system. In one point in time, they would decide they need to convert their accounting system to a computer-based accounting system. So in that particular case, so they do have to take these balances. So when you start a particular reporting period, you have to start with the beginning balances. You will be having asset balances, liability balances, and equity balances. And that has to be taken. Earlier we have set the accounts, the relevant asset, liability, and equity, even the income and expenses. And now we are going to enter the beginning balances. So then the debits and credit is supposed to be in agreement. If you extract a trial balance, the debit should correspond to the credit. So that is about the starting point of the accounting. You have set the accounts and you have entered the opening balances. And simultaneously, what you can do, you can set the budgets as well. So normally, for a particular period, we would have the budgets, and the actual information we can get that from the financial statements. So therefore, we would set the budgets as well as the actual figures in financial statement. So therefore, here we are going to learn about the budget as well. So how to set the budgets and how to enter the figures in the budgets. It is especially a management accounting related application. So you are going to try them out. So that would be our second day discussion, and there would be a relevant practical for that. So in fact, this is not going to be a huge task, big job, right? So this is something that you've been doing since your A-levels. So මේ week දෙවෙනි week එකේ අපි basically කතා කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ general ledger එකක් set කරන්න කොහොමද කියන එක. එතකොට පුතාලා දන්නවා එතකොට manually අපි වැඩ කරත් අපිට general ledger එකක් තියෙනවා. එතකොට computer based environment එකේ ඒ feature එක ඒ විදිහම. එතකොට අපිට පුළුවන් general ledger එකේ අපි දන්නවා විවිධ accounts තියෙනවා asset, liabilities, income, expenses, equity මේ වගේ. එතකොට මේ විදිහේ different accounts අපි set කරගන්නවා. ඒ අපිට තියෙන balances මත පදනම් වෙලා අපි ඒවා set කරගන්නවා. අපිට තියෙන්න පුළුවන් PP accounts, the inventory account තියෙන්න පුළුවන්, trade receivables තියෙන්න පුළුවන්, cash තියෙන්න පුළුවන්, bank තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒතර මේ වගේ asset accounts තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ වගේම තමයි liability accounts උත් තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. Trade payables, the accrued expenses, income tax payable, ඒ වගේම loans, the debentures, and the finance, the leases likewise. ඒතර මේ වගේ විවිධ liabilities උත් තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. අපි ඒවත් create කරගන්න. ඒ වගේම equity තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. Different reserves, retained earnings, revaluation, and also like stated capital මේ වගේ equity balances උත් තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඊට අමතරව income සහ expense accounts උත් අවශ්‍ය වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒතකොට මේ දේවල් උත් create කරගන්න අවශ්‍ය විදිහට. ඒතකොට ඒක තමයි basically අපි general ledger එක සිද්ධ කරන්නේ. එතනදී අපි තව කරන වැදගත් දෙයක් තියෙනවා. අපි මේ accounts number කරගන්න ඕන. යම් කිසි proper system එකකට number කරන්න ඕන. ඒකට මේ computer based software එකක් අපි වැඩ කරන්නේ. ඒකට software එකක් සාමාන්‍යයෙන් මේ තියෙන වචන කියවගන්නේ නැහැ නේ. ඒකට අපි assets use කරනවා යම් කිසි proper code එකක්. උදාහරණයක් විදිහට number 1 වලින් පටන් ගන්න code එකක් තමයි අපි asset වලට භාවිත කරන්නේ. එතකොට system එක දන්නවා මේ asset එකක් තමයි කියලා. අපි ඒක number 1 වලින් පටන් ගත්තොත් asset account එතකොට system එක දන්නවා ඒක asset එකක්. ඒ වගේ තමයි liabilities. ඒතකොට liabilities වලට අපි number 2 ගන්නවා. ඒතකොට number 2 වලින් පටන් ගන්න account එකක් තිබ්බොත් එතනදී අපි දන්නවා ඒක liability account එකක්. number 3 equity. ඒතකොට මේ වගේ අපිට යන්න පුළුවන්. right? ඒත් එක්කම අපි ඉගෙන ගන්නවා beginning balances enter කරන්න. ඒකට අපි general ledger එකේ accounts ටික set කරා, ඒක number කරා, ඊට පස්සේ අපිට පුළුවන් beginning balances දාන්න. ඒකට අපි දන්නවා අපි හිතනවා manual system එකක් යන organization එකක් යම් කිසි point එකක තමයි convert කරන්නේ computerized environment එකකට. එතනදී අපිට සිද්ධ වෙනවා කාලච්ඡේදයේ ආරම්භයේ තියෙන beginning balances ටික දාගන්න. දැන් උදාහරණයක් විදිහට අපි හිතුවොත් reporting period begins on 1st of April 2019. ඒ point එකේ නම් අපි conversion එක කරන්නේ. එහෙනම් එදාට තියෙන beginning balances ටික අපි දාගන්න ඕන general ledger එකට. We have the assets, liabilities and equity. Those balances has to be taken there. So මේ balances ටික අපි දාගන්න ඕනේ general ledger එකට. ඔන්න එතකොට අපි පටන් ගන්නවා අපේ ව්‍යාපාරයේ accounting. So it starts with setting the accounts and entering the beginning balances. ඒත් එක්කම in parallel අපිට budgets වලත් work කරන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට budgets උත් set කරගන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට මේ budgets management accounting application එකක්. එතකොට අපි ඉගෙන ගන්න යනවා කොහොමද budget එකකුත් set කරන්නේ. එතකොට අපිට පුළුවන් budget එකක් set කරගත්තට පස්සේ actual informations උත් තියෙනවා financial statements වල. එතකොට මේ actual information compare කරන්නත් පුළුවන් වෙනවා budgeted figures එක. ඒ නිසා තමයි අපි මෙතන ඉගෙන ගන්නේ කොහොමද budget එකක් set කරන්න කියන කාරණාව. Then depending on that we have the practical 2 as well. And week 3 we are going to set up the accounts payable. We are going to set up the accounts payable. So this is a kind of individual module. So in this, as far as this software is concerned, we have several individual modules. So that is in the sense, for suppliers, we have a different module. It's a supplier module, or you can say accounts payable module. For customers, we have another module. We call it customers module, or we call it trade receivables module. And for inventory, we have another, and we call it the inventory module. And for payroll related transaction, we have the payroll module or employee related module. modules. So likewise in this software, basically we call it, it's an integrated software. That is in the sense, usually you're working in this individual modules. You'll be performing transactions in the individual modules. But these individual modules are connected to the general ledger, right? In order to make this simple, in your A levels, you can remember that you have done something called, you have maintained a separate ledger for the debtors. For the debtors, you have maintained a separate ledger, right? Then in the general ledger, you had a control account relating to the debtors. So therefore, the final balance of the individual ledger, or once you take the balances of the individual customers, you would take the total, and that total at the end of a particular period should correspond to the total of the trade receivables control account that you have in the general ledger. Likewise, here we are taking a similar approach. For the account receivables, we have a separate module. So there we have the individual customers. For account payables, we are having a separate ledger, or we call it module. In the separate module, you have the individual suppliers. So the balance of these suppliers at the end of a particular period should be equal to the account that you have in the general ledger. You have the accounts payable, and that balance should correspond to the total of the individual balances in the separate modules. That is what the approach here we are taking. So that's why we are calling it a integrated module. තොරගතාල මේ software package එක අපි කියනවා මේක integrated module එකක් කියලා. ඇයි අපි මේකට integrated module එකක් කියන්නේ? ඒතර මේකේ තියෙනවා separate modules. ඇත්තටම අපි modules 4ක් ගැන තමයි basically කතා කරන්නේ. එතකොට අපිට තියෙනවා accounts payable. එහෙම නැත්නම් supplier module එකක්. එතකොට අපි individual suppliers ලා ඉන්නේ ඔය කියන module එකේ. එතකොට ඒ suppliers ලාත් එක්ක කරන transactions අපි record කරන්නේ accounts payable module එකේ, එහෙම නැත්නම් supplier module එකේ. ඒත් එක්කම අපිට ඉන්නවා customers ලා. එතකොට මේ customers ලාත් එක්ක කරන ගනුදෙනු අපි record කරන්නේ account receivable module එකේ. එතකොට මේ account receivable module එකේ, එහෙම නැත්නම් customer module එකේ individual customers ලා ඉන්නවා. ඒ individual customers ලාගේ යම්කිසි කාල පරිච්ඡේදයක් අවසානයේ තියෙන balances වල total එක equal වෙනවා general ledger එකේ අපි maintain කරන trade receivables කියලා account එකක්. ඒ account එකේ තියෙන balance එකට equal වෙන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට මේ link එක මේ කියන software එකේම create කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒකයි අපි ඒක integrated කියන්නේ. අපි individual modules වල වැඩ කරනවා, ඒවා connect වෙලා තියෙනවා general ledger එකට. ඒකයි අපි ඒක integrated කියන්නේ. The individual modules are connected to the general ledger, right? And ඒ වගේම අපිට inventory වලටත් මේ වගේ module එකක් තියෙනවා. different inventory values අපිට තියෙනවා. types of inventory අපිට තියෙනවා. So අපි ඒක separate module එක maintain කරනවා. එතකොට ඒ separate inventory items වල එන value එකත් අපේ inventory කියලා general ledger එකේ තියෙන value එකට correspond වෙනවා යම්කිසි කාලච්ඡේදයක් අවසානයේ. එතකොට ඒකත් automatically සිද්ධ වෙනවා මේ system එක තුලින්. ඒ වගේම තමයි payroll related දේවල් අපි ගන්නවා payroll module එකට. එතකොට ඒකේ තියෙන balances අවසාන වශයෙන් equal වෙන්න ඕනේ general ledger එකේ තියෙන balance එකට. එතකොට මේව automatically system එකකින් taken care කරනවා. එතකොට අපිට ඒ ගැන ගොඩක් හිතන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. අපි suppliers ලට අදාළ ගන්න suppliers ලගේ module එකේ, customers ලට අදාළ ගන්න customers ලගේ module එකේ විදියට කරගෙන යනවා. Right? So when it comes to the week 3, we'll be discussing about the setting up accounting payables. So we are going to create the supplier module. In that, we'll be basically setting some of the default. So when you are making the purchases, usually you would be having some experience, some business experience over the years. So therefore, by default, you know what would be the credit period that is offered by most of the suppliers. And the default in the sense we call it, it is the common for most of the suppliers. The supplier default in the sense the aspects that are common for most of the suppliers. So let's say that in our business, most of the suppliers are offering us a kind of 30-day credit period or 45 days credit period, then you would set the default as 45 days. And by default, your suppliers are giving you a 5% discount. So therefore, you can set those discount. And the related accounts for these accounts payable, you may have to set them. And that's what we call the default information. The information that is applicable for most of the suppliers. So therefore, when you are going to work in the supplier modules, you start with setting some of the defaults. And thereafter, you can record the beginning balances. So you would be having individual customers. So you may first create those suppliers. So the individual suppliers and their individual balances. Then you would be performing transaction at a later point in time. But in this question, the week 3 discussion, what we are basically going to do, we are going to set the default and we are going to enter the beginning balances of the suppliers by creating the individual suppliers. So in that, we have a corresponding practical as well. That is going to be our practical 3. Then we have the week 4 discussion. It is about setting up the inventory. So it is also kind of separate module. So all the inventories that you have, you may set them in your inventory module. You would be having different kinds of inventory items. So you would be creating those different kinds of inventory items there, as well as some of the balances at the beginning of the period. So you may be setting those balances, and the total of that balances should be equal to the balance that is there in the general ledger at the beginning of the period. So you can remember that earlier we have entered that. So that must be equal. And here also you are setting some default, the default information in the sense, the information that is applicable for most of the inventory items. So in that you would be setting what are the relevant accounts for these inventory recordings and what are the default category that is sold in most of the cases in inventory, and the different price levels. So likewise you can set some of the default information as to the inventory. So it's about our week 4 discussion. There is a corresponding practical as well. Then we have week 5. In that we'll be discussing about the customers. Like you did earlier, you discussed about the suppliers. Now you'll be discussing about the customers. So when it comes to these customers, as usual, you'll be setting the defaults. The default in the sense, the information that is applicable for most of the customers. So there you set what would be the default credit period, what would be the default discounts, what would be the default discount period, and so likewise you can set some of the common information for most of the customers. And here also we'll be starting with setting the individual customers and entering their opening balances. So which should be equal, the total must be equal to the balance that is there in the general ledger. So week 3 එකේ 4 එකේ 5 එකේ basically කරන්නේ අපි ගාව තියෙන modules තුනක් set කරගන්න එක. ඒකට මම කිව්වා අපි individual modules තියෙනවා, supplier තියෙනවා, inventory තියෙනවා, customer තියෙනවා, payroll. ඒකට මේ course එක අපි payroll module එකක් basically discuss කරන්නේ නැහැ. අපි තියෙන time constraint එක්ක. ඒකට අපි modules තුනයි discuss කරන්නේ. supplier module එකයි, customer module එකයි, inventory module එකයි. ඒතර මේ modules තුන initially set කරගන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා තමයි අපි මේ කතා කරන්නේ. එතකොට මේ වගේ අපි කරන්න එකම විදිහක් default set කරගන්නවා balances ටික දාන එක. එතකොට default කියන පුතාලා අපි suppliers ලට ගත්තත් customers ලට ගත්තත් අපේ ඉන්න ගොඩක් suppliers වලට අදාළ වෙන තොරතුරු. එතකොට මේ default set කිරීමේ තියෙන වැදගත්කම තමයි අපි කිව්වා මේකේ අපි individual customers ලව create කරනවා කියලා. මේ individual customers ලා create කරන්න යනකොට individual suppliers ලා create කරන්න යනකොට මේ කියන default information අපිට automatically එනවා. එතකොට සමහරක් වෙලාවට ඒ අපි create කරන්න යන customerට මේ තොරතුරු ඒ විදිහටම apply වෙනවා. ඒකනේ අපි defaults කියන්නේ. එතකොට ඒ අවස්ථාවේ අපිට මේ තොරතුරු වෙනස් කරන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. දැන් උදාහරණයක් විදිහට අපි ගත්තොත් default අපිට supplier කෙනෙක් දෙනවා කියලා set කරලා තියෙනවා දින 45ක credit period එකක්. එතකොට අපි හිතුවොත් අපේ supplier X account balances supplier X ගේ information අපි create කරන්න යනකොට දැන් අපිට දාන්න වෙනවා මොකක්ද credit period එක. ඒතකොට එතනදී අපි default set කරලා තිබ්බොත් 45 කියලා ඒක නිකම්ම එනවා. ඒකට අපිට මේ information එක fill කරන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. එතන අපිට පහසුවක් තියෙනවා. අවශ්‍ය නම් අපිට වෙනස් කරන්න පුළුවන්. නමුත් default කියන්නේ ගොඩක් දේවල් වලට apply වෙන දෙයක්. ඒකට එතනදී අපිට පහසුවක් තියෙනවා. අපි මේ individual customers වල individual suppliers වලට account create කරන්න යද්දී default information අපි වැඩ කරන window එකට එනවා. right? මේ දේවල් අපි ඉස්සරහට ඉගෙන ගන්නවා. එතනදී පොඩි අදහසක් දෙන්නයි අවශ්‍ය. Then on week 9, we are going to start working in the accounts payable. So earlier you have set the account payable module or the supplier module. There you have even entered the opening balances. Now we are going to start your purchase cycle. Purchase cycle. So here you are going to deal with basically the purchase cycle. The purchase cycle in the sense how organization would make purchases. So initially they would be creating the purchase orders. They would send the purchase orders to the preferred suppliers. So then the suppliers would send the goods. So therefore we would receive the inventory. Together with the inventory, we would receive the invoices, right? So therefore we may have to enter those invoices to the supplier module. So then sometimes we may send some of the goods back. So therefore we would have to deal with the debit note. We will have to deal with the debit notes. So in that we call it the credit memos. So you may learn how to enter these credit memos or the debit notes. And sometimes some of the transactions you may have to edit, and sometimes you may have to delete that. Those aspects you are going to learn in the week 9. So simply speaking, you are going to deal with the purchase cycle. You are going to learn how to create a purchase order using the accounting software, and how to record the receipt of the goods, and how to enter the invoices, and how to enter the credit memos, or we call it the debit notes, and also how to edit and delete some transactions. So basically it is about the purchasing of goods. So that would be our week 6 discussion. Then on the week 7th, we are going to have our first assessment. It is about the mid-semester examination. In that, you will be given 2-hour paper, so which must be attempted by you. So there you are. There you can earn 30 marks. So our experience is, in the previous batches, the students had obtained more than 20 marks. Almost all the students have obtained 20 marks, and most of the students have even obtained the 30 marks. So as far as this course is concerned, in most of the cases, the students would ended up completing this course with the A plus or A. So we would say like 90% of the cases. So that is what we have experienced. But how they have achieved that? They have attended the lectures regularly. So if you do the needful, then the results are there. So therefore, when it comes to the assessment, I may talk about this in detail. So you may have to attend the discussions, you may have to attend these video recordings. So you have to study them thoroughly. Then you can ensure you would be ended up getting a good grade, right? Then in week 10, we'll be discussing about the how to deal with the inventory. So it's about how to uh, basically how to adjust the inventory items. So and also you would be having different kinds of inventory items. Sometimes even by using these different kinds of items, you may be creating some assemble products. For example, that you may be assembling some computers by purchasing some raw materials or the components. By purchasing the components, you may be assembling the computers, so you may be assembling the vehicles likewise. So different uh, cases could be there. So in that, so you are going to learn how to assemble a particular product and how to do the pricing accordingly. Those aspects would be taken care of, and especially the inventory written offs, the inventory donations, how to deal with those aspects would also be discussed. And the beauty is, when it comes to these individual modules, they are interconnected. So when you are doing transaction in the accounts payable module, so the records get updated in the inventory module. So when you receive the inventory over here, so once you enter your invoices, so those records would get updated in the inventory. So that's how it works. So the debit double entry goes like the inventory account gets debit and it gets credit to the trade payables. So when you update the trade payables, and simultaneously it get updated in the inventory module. So therefore that is what the link that you have. So this account receivable and account payable modules are interconnected. So that's why we do not extensively discuss about the receipt of the inventory and the issue of the inventory, because it is automatically taken care of when you work in the receivables and the payables module, right? So here basically we would access to do some inventory adjustments, so inventory written off instances, inventory donation instances, so likewise. And also in some cases when you are creating some assemble products and when you are unbundle the products, so in those circumstances you may have to access the inventory and do the required adjustments over there. So we'll be discussing those things in detail. That would be our week 8 discussion. And also on the same week we'll be taking into the discussion using accounts receivable. So in that we are going to perform the sales cycle. Earlier we learned about the purchase cycle when you are working in the accounts payable. Now you are going to learn about the sales cycle. In that, you know how a particular sale is generated. You would be receiving some quotes, uh, so you'll be sending the quotations, and thereafter the sales orders would be received. So depending on the sales orders, so you may process accordingly and you would send the goods. Together with that, you would be sending the sales invoices, and sometimes the goods may be received by the customers. In that you have to enter the credit notes, so you have to deal with the credit notes, and sometimes you may have to edit and delete the sales transaction. So that is basically the sales cycle. So in that we are going to learn how to proceed with the sales cycle. Then on week 9 we'll be discussing about the vendor payment and other payment. So in the previous instance we have discussed about the accounts payable. So in that we have stopped at the point entering the invoices and also entering the debit notes and editing and deleting transaction. We haven't discussed about the payment for these purchases. So in fact we have done that intentionally because in a later point in time we discussed that in the vendor payments, right? On week 9, we are going to take into the discussion about the payment for credit purchases. Earlier, we have made the purchases and we have entered the invoices. Accordingly, a later point in time, probably after the credit period, you would have to make the payment. And when you are going to make payment, how to enter that to the system, you are going to learn that on week 9. And not only that, you are going to learn how to enter the purchases on cash and the payments that you made at the point of purchases, especially we call it some kind of advance or something, and the different expenses payment. So likewise, you are going to learn such kind of payment. So the vendor payments and other payments that would be discussed on week 9. Then on week 10, we are going to discuss about the receipt. Similarly, when we are discussing about the sales cycle, we haven't completed that. It get completed so when you receive the cash. But we discuss from the quotation to the sales orders to the invoices, and we stopped at that point. But in order to complete that, even the cash has to be received. So most probably cash would be received at the end or towards the end of the credit period. So therefore, when you have these receipts, so you would have to enter that. So the receipts of credit sales and the sales on cash basis, the amount paid, the part payment that you had received from the customers, the advances, the receipts of other income, those things must be taken care on week 10. So different kinds of receipts you are dealt with. Then on week 11, we are going to move on to the general journal. So since you are A-levels, you are familiar with the general journal. Here you are going to learn about how to apply this general journal entries. So you would be having accruals, you would be having prepayments, and you would be having some recurring transaction. The recurring transaction in the sense, the transaction that happens on a kind of in regular intervals. The transaction that happens on regular intervals, we call it recurring transaction. For example, if you had obtained a kind of loan, so you would have to make the loan installment payment. So it's a kind of classic example for recurring transaction. And if you have some PP items, you have the depreciation, which must be done on a monthly or annual basis. That is also recurring transaction. So you can set those entries in the general journal. So you are familiar with how to generate these entries, but here the only thing which is new to you is learn how to do this in a computerized environment. So we are going to learn those aspects and also the banking task. Banking task in the sense, the most importantly, you are going to learn about how to perform the account reconciliation or the bank reconciliation. So upon the receipt of the bank statement, how to perform the bank reconciliation would taken into discussion. And on the final topic, as the final topic, we'll be taking the assessing reports, forms and running the year end. So in that, you are going to learn to generate different forms of report, to generate a statement of profit or loss, financial position, the cash flow statements, uh, like the trade receivable age analysis, the trade payable age analysis. So likewise, different kinds of reports can be generated over here. So you are going to learn about how to generate these different kinds of reports. And not only that, most importantly, once you finish a particular accounting cycle, that is in the sense, you may start your reporting period on 1st of April. Now you have come to the end of the accounting cycle. Then at the end of the reporting period, probably 31st March, you may have to close the accounts. So in order to close this account in a computerized environment, what you have to do, you have to run the year-end procedure. So once you run the year-end procedure, basically all the income and expense account will be taken to the retained earnings, that is through the profit or loss. And once you run this, you would only witness you will be having asset, liabilities and equity accounts. So the year-end procedure is done. So then you get ready to record the transaction for the next reporting period. So therefore, it is something that you must carefully perform. So the year-end procedure. We are going to learn how to carefully perform the year-end procedure. So with that, you finish working in your company. So in parallel, the tutorial sessions would get completed. So that was our last tutorial. So in that, you have created and you have closed 2 companies. Then on the final week, so that is week 12, we have planned for a mock paper discussion. So that is to give you a kind of sense as to how the final examination comes. So you can have a thorough understanding about your final examination once you do this mock paper. So then you would be in a more comfortable position when you are going for the final examination. So that is in fact the expectation. So it's about the learning activities. Now let me come to the assessment plan. So in this assessment plan, earlier we discussed about the midterm examination. So here you are given 2-hour paper. So that would uh, be done on the week 7, and in that, so you would be given 30 marks for that. The 30 marks are allocated for that, and the final examination, it's a 3-hour paper, and you need to do everything within a computerized environment, the mid semester and the final examination, that will account for the rest, that is 70%. So as I highlighted earlier, our experience is most of the students complete this course with a good grade. So the A's and A pluses, if we analyze, it would be like roughly 90% of the students will make that. So meanwhile, there's 10%, so those who even make a poor grade. So sometimes they would repeat the exam as well. So if we analyze, in fact, we have analyzed that the simple reason what we had come across, that was the poor attendance. So if you do not attend the session, this is something unlike the other subjects. So this is a very practical subject. So if you miss one class, before you come to the next class, definitely you have to somehow cover up the following session. So you should, therefore you have to maintain that sequence. You can't miss one lecture and attend to the other and you can proceed. That is not the case. You must attend the sessions at a stretch on a regular basis, because there is a logical sequence. So there is a connectivity between the lectures. So if you missed one, you can't uh, get them connected if you attend the next. So therefore, if you miss a particular lecture, ensure that you somehow go through that and you may complete, you would update your companies when you come to the next class. So it's a requirement. So that's why we highly encourage you to attend the sessions on a regular basis. Then you can easily make this. So this is about the data processing. So you can simply process this because the required understanding is there. We do not have to teach you what is the general ledger, what is about the suppliers control account, or the what do you call that, the trade payables uh, ledger, the trade receivables ledger. We don't have to teach them because you know the fundamentals. We don't have to teach you the general journal, the general journal entries. Those need not to be taught. So what need to be taught is how to uh, do this, how to perform this in a computerized environment. And that is the knowledge what you are gaining in this course. So therefore, it's a kind of task. So it's the data processing. So therefore, you need to, you'd be able to easily manage that. But the only thing that you have to make sure you would attend the sessions regularly, right? Then finally, it's about the course policies. Earlier, we used to have the 80% attendance. It was a must. So in line with the FMSC policies. So it's a second year course. We have to go by the Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce policies set by the FMSC. But here In this course, since we do not have the physical lectures, we have get rid from this attendance requirement, but still, as I advised you earlier, you need to attend this online discussions and get the things clarified, and also follow the video lectures. And when it comes to the information, our main mode of communication, that is through the LMS. So we will make all the communication through the LMS. Even the video lectures and the Zoom discussions would get uploaded to the LMS. So therefore you need to frequently, so I would say that at least 2 times a week you may visit this course and see what are the updates. As I said earlier, in well advance we'll be uploading the lectures, so then you can download and study those. And most importantly, when you attend the Zoom discussion, the online discussions, you have to do the tutorials or the practicals, and then only you may attend the tutorials, or you may attend the discussion, otherwise there is no point. So the question comes when you start working uh, with the questions. So therefore you may attempt the activities, and then only the question comes, and you may bring those questions to the discussion. During the discussion we may address them. Then when it comes to the academic integrity, so it is highly expected from you. So in fact you are quite honest and ethical in academic activities. So that is what our observation over the years. So you are expected to maintain that status. And no copying, cheating, or plagiarizing is allowed. So we believe that there would be no need of this. So once you master these concepts, once you master the studies, so no need of that. But if we found any instance of doing so, so you would be penalized for that for sure. So even you would have to repeat this course. So we do not expect such kind of unpleasant situation. So do not engage in such kind of behavior. And the classroom disciplines, that is pretty much required. So while you are attending these Zoom discussions, so you have to make sure that you're not going to make that the unnecessary noises. You're not going to create that. You're going to properly listen, and you're going to interact with us properly and get the required learning. So that's what the expectation. Then this is about the course outline. So in the upcoming videos, we'll be discussing about the introduction to the computer-based accounting, and as well as the introduction to the accounting software and how to create the company. Right.